there's the Furnace Run culvert, and we're gonna walk back down the trail here just a little bit, and I'm gonna show you exactly where this thing is if you would like to come and enjoy it yourself. I think we crossed a little bit farther down here when we were here the first time, but I'm seeing this, so why don't we just use this to get across, because the cave is right up there. So if you come across this log right here, it pretty much points right to the cave. And then there's this thing here, which we were kind of debating whether this is man-made or not. We thought maybe this was a man-made stone thing here and here, and there was a type of walkway running up there. All right, here we are. It starts there, and it's there. It's pretty wide. It's not super deep, but it's big enough to get into, which makes it a good spot to fire up the stove, have some food, and it gives you a really nice view outside, which is the main thing that I like about it. And then there's this little slab of schist here. We can use this to set up our stuff. Sun's finally starting to come out now. It's kind of overcast before. It's supposed to be about 60 degrees today. If I ever go full Leatherman, this is probably where I'll be. Hat tip to Colonel Meade. This is the kind of life he lived. I'll leave a link to that episode right now if you don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the good old Colonel. How many years did he live out in the wild like this? I mean, his cave wasn't even really a cave, it was more of an overhang. I get the feeling that this would be a lot better to actually take shelter in and sleep in and whatnot, because it does have a very nice flat overhang of a ceiling. Getting warm. I think it's almost ready. Tastes pretty good. Just saw two hikers down on the trail there. Anybody out there ever slept in a cave overnight? I never have. Not that I wouldn't want to. One of the key factors in forming caves like this is that you have to have some water coming in from behind. I'll show you here in just a minute. Without that water coming down from above, seeping down through joints and fissures, and then coming out on the flat part of an outcrop, you don't have that water, that freeze thaw. You can get a lot of freeze thaw on the surface here, but to loosen up stuff behind me and really get that freeze thaw cracking stuff up, because this is not really an overhang cave here. This is the result of big slabs sliding right out. And there's a big fault or a joint right here. You can see it right here. And notice how that's going down. Follow my hand right there. You see that? I think that joint is the main reason why this thing is so well developed. That allowed water to seep in here crack huge pieces off of the bedrock. And of course, because it's sloping down, right, you get a chunk here, sits there for thousands of years, and then one day just shifts, kind of like the rock I was cooking on here a second ago. Would have been up there, boom, one day it just falls down, and then the water comes in and it freezes underneath that big slab, right? And then eventually at some point, I would think because of the ice and gravity, of course, one of the big chunks just slid down into the stream valley below. And I can see water coming in from here. There's at least 2 or 3 different places where water is seeping in. Otherwise, I don't see how you're going to get this volume of rock to exit the cave over time. You'll get little things, you know, little chippings away, little overhangs and stuff like that. And another factor might be that, you know, when the stream was higher, it used to wash in here, right? It used to wash in here, flush stuff out. And you can see there's another fissure right there. See that? So you had this fissure coming at you this way, right? Vertically oriented, coming this way, probably ran the whole way up to here. It probably continues over here, right? So you have one this way, then you have the one going downhill that way. So it would have cut off the chunk that way. This would have cut off the chunk underneath. There, now you can really see that, right? It's just like a wedge shape. And if you wanted to take up, you know, residence here, you know, you could brush out all this stuff, little pieces of scat and leaves and dirt. You could even bring up buckets of water from the creek, splash it down here, get rid of some of this dirt that's infiltrating. Maybe here you could build up a stone wall for more protection, right? Or even maybe right here. Now you see that crack there? See how there's water coming down in there? Here you can really see it. So you got the fissure here, right? Water's coming in here. Water's coming in over there too, right? There's a crack right there, okay? So this whole chunk here is probably pretty well detached from the bedrock already. And then eventually this chunk here, which is probably shaped like a piece of pizza, this would be the crust, right? Looking at the way the joints are going, it's probably shaped like a piece of pizza. So this would be the crust, so you'd hold it here when you eat it, right? This whole piece detaches, slides down. In this case, it would probably hit this. It might knock that out. And then they both just slide the whole way, depending on how much ice there is here. Or it could just go boom and sit there for 5,000 years, right? But I like the fact that this boulder is here. This boulder came from up there. And it's right on the edge, so this thing could go at any time. Hopefully it doesn't go right now, although that would be neat to catch it on camera. Well, I'm done eating, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a couple minutes, grab my survey tape and my little sketchbook, and I'm going to make a quick sketch map of the cave. So I drew a little sketch map here. The entrance itself is pretty big. It's 25 feet wide. And the ceiling height's anywhere from 4.5 to 5, maybe 6 down there. From right here to the entrance lip is about 10 feet. So that would be the depth, I guess, if you want to call it. 10 feet from here to the lip, 25 feet there to there. Ceiling height right here is about 4.5 feet. So you can't stand here, but you could set up a nice situation here in terms of sleeping. You see back there? See how this whole thing is already kind of coming undone? Do a 360 shot here. So if you haven't yet, check out those other 2 episodes where I come up here with Cole and Lewis, because in that one we go much farther up Furnace Run. Go check those out. I'll leave those links in the description to this video. There's another video you can actually check out too. I'll leave a link up above right now. When I came here for the first time and I came across those 2 washout caves that are right up there by the Otter Creek campground. They're right off they're basically on the Mason Dixon Trail. I'd never been there before, so I didn't know they're there. They're not as big and as roomy as this one, but they're really good examples of how they form. I often wonder if you would ever find stuff like this higher up on the ridge, just because as the stream cuts down over time and the surface degrades, a lot of those older ones, like the really old ones, they would just kind of get destroyed as the surface slowly is denuded down, right? I do wonder how long this cave itself has been in this condition. I mean, it could be a very, very long time. And that's what's neat about finding good examples of these caves is, you know, you sit inside of them and you wonder, well, how long has this thing been here? Was this ever used as a shelter or a place to sleep or hang out? The Susquehannocks or the Indians before them, the Paleo Indians, all those years ago? Makes you wonder. And the hunt will continue. I really do believe if we keep searching, eventually I think we're going to find something pretty neat. All right then, we'll go check out those other videos. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see everyone in the next episode.